Daily Ascent. I'm Molly Carmel, and this is the podcast I always wish existed. A bite sized, on the ground spiritual note that can shift your thinking and your outlook on life to help make us all a little bit more awake, alive, and ascending. So, yeah, times are tough. And if you're in a hard season right now, if something in your life feels like it's never going to change, this episode is for you. And I don't know where you're listening to this from, but I am here in the Northeast. And the weather in the Northeast, I've talked about it on the show, has been nothing short of awful. And listen, I'm not like a big weather complainer. I'm really not. I went to school in Ithaca. I've lived in the Northeast a long time. I know how to do cold. But we have gotten so much snow this winter and such icy cold conditions. It's just been really relentless. And I'm not alone. I mean, this is kind of like the talk of the town here in the Northeast. Just a lot of snow and cold and gray skies and then more snow. And I don't know, maybe it's because I lived in the South for 3 years and this is only my second winter back. Maybe I've gone soft, but I don't think so. I just think this has been a brutal, brutal winter. And it's only February or March. And so, it's gotten to the point where the streets aren't plowed right and I can't walk my dog and it's really even hard to back out of my driveway. And I'm just giving you context, right? I'm just giving you context. The days feel short and gray and the nights are cold and everything just, feels kind of frozen, not just on the ground. My energy, my mood, honestly, my sense of what's possible. And I'm not alone in this, right? And I just really started to feel like, as crazy as this sounds, like, maybe this is just how things are, right? Like winter had moved permanently in and like wasn't leaving. But things have started to warm up a little teensy bit, from 10 degrees to like 32, which is exciting, Perspective is really a thing. And so I figured out a way yesterday to walk my dog because I couldn't walk him before. There was just so much salt everywhere. And there were like these icebergs, like it was crazy, like on the sidewalk that you couldn't even walk. It was dangerous to walk into the street. So I figured out a way. I did it. And we bundled up and we got outside, me and Danny, my dog. And as we were walking, I started to notice something. The snow was receding just a little bit, just around the edges and underneath it, poking through in these tiny little pockets was grass, was actual green grass. And I'm not being comedy here. I cannot tell you how excited I was to see grass. I actually stopped walking and just stared at it. And so did Danny. Danny was sniffing this grass like he had never really seen grass before. There was still snow everywhere, but these little patches of green reminded me of something that I was like moving towards forgetting, that the ground was still there and it had been there the whole time, just underneath all of it, waiting. And that spring was coming. And it was coming the whole time. It's coming the whole time. And standing there in the cold, looking at that grass, I got this new mantra that I want to share with you. And I've really been repeating it to myself ever since. The snow will melt. The snow will melt. The snow will melt. I mean, this has been a really relentless winter and it's still going. And the snow will melt. I offer this to you. The snow will melt. And that brings me to our pocket sage today from Rachel Carson. She has a book called The Sense of Wonder. And she writes a lot about what nature teaches us. She's a really, really good writer. And here's the passage I remembered. Those who contemplate the beauty of the earth find reserves of strength that will endure as long as life lasts. There's something infinitely healing in the repeated refrains of nature, the assurance that dawn comes after night and spring after winter. Let me read that again for those of you in the back. Those who contemplate the beauty of the earth find reserves of strength that will endure as long as life lasts. There's something infinitely healing in the repeated refrains of nature, the assurance that dawn comes after night and spring after winter. I love that. Dawn after night, spring after winter. The snow will melt, right? The earth keeps its promises. And that little patch of grass under the snow reminded me of exactly that. So, our word of the day today, it's such an important one for our spiritual lives. Endurance. My teacher talks about spiritual endurance all the time. Endurance is the capacity to keep going when you can't see the end. It's not the same as strength. It really isn't. At least not in the way we usually think of strength. Endurance is much quieter than strength because endurance is not about powering through. And it's not about hustling, and it's not about gritting your teeth or pretending you're fine when you're not. Endurance is about patience. It's about continuing to show up day after day, even when nothing seems to be changing, even when there are icebergs on the sideway that you cannot walk your dog, right? And endurance is walking the dog when it's freezing outside because you both need it, and getting through another gray morning when you're not sure how many more gray mornings you can take. It's trusting that spring is coming and that the snow will melt even when all you can see is snow. And sometimes endurance really looks like doing the bare minimum and calling that enough. Sometimes it looks like, crying it out in the car and going inside anyway. Sometimes it's not doing the whole winter, it's not solving the whole hard thing, just getting through the day, just this one day. And, endurance doesn't mean you're not struggling. It doesn't mean you've figured something out or you've transcended the difficulty. That's spiritual bypass. We don't do that here. Endurance means you're just still here. You're still showing up. You're putting one foot in front of the other, even when you don't know where you're going or how much longer the road is. And that counts. Like that's endurance. Having faith that the snow will melt is endurance. And that little patch of grass really taught me a lot, huh? So listen, for you, when you're in a hard season, it really starts to feel permanent. It's like years of my life devoted to this. This is how I got spiritual, right? That's the thing about hard seasons. They have a way of convincing you that this is just how things are now, that the snow will never melt and the cold will never lift and the job will never get better and the relationship will never heal and the grief will never ease. You know what I mean, right? And that you've been waiting so long and nothing is changing. And, the way it goes is that sometimes we start to believe that nothing ever will. But here's the thing about seasons, they don't ask our permission to change, they just change. And winter doesn't last forever because we believe in spring hard enough. It ends because that's just like what seasons do. The earth keeps turning, the days get longer, the snow melts. Not because we've earned it and not because we manifested it and not because we read a lot of self-help books or we did so much inner work and now we deserve it. It's just because it's how it works. And I really needed to see that grass. Not because it proved anything. There was still snow and icebergs everywhere. And there's still snow now. But because it reminded me of what I already know somewhere deep down inside of me, which is nothing is forever. The ground is still there. It's been there the whole time under all that white, right? And life is still happening underneath the surface, even when I can't see it. The snow will melt. So listen, whatever you're going through right now, if it's a difficult season at work, if it's a relationship that feels stuck, or grief that won't lift, or waiting for something that seems endless, or that uncertainty that keeps you up at night, it will change. That's the only guarantee we have in life. The only constant is change. And I'm not saying it's going to change on your timeline. I'm just saying it will change, right? I'm not even saying it's going to change the way you want it to, but it will change because that's what seasons do. And your job is to endure. Our job is to endure. Our job is to keep walking the dog, to keep showing up, to keep looking for little patches of green under all that white and to trust that the ground is still there, especially when you can't see it, right? And remember that you have survived every hard season that came before this one, and you will survive this one too. I promise. The snow will melt. And I'm here with you. And so, your reflective question of the day: what hard season are you in right now? And can you trust that the snow will melt? And I am right here with you, Ascenders, enduring the cold and trusting that it will thaw. We rise together. Until next time.